In today's video, Schumer just offered a disgusting proposal to end the government shutdown. Also, protesters have been arrested outside the ICE detention facility, and air traffic control, including airlines, are ringing the alarm over the government shutdown. Let's start with these arrests that took place earlier in Chicago. Take a look.
Got some new video. This is Broadview, Illinois, and Friday morning has been the time when, well, you get scenes like this. Officers arresting anti-ICE protesters appear to be holding a sit-in, obviously, here. This is outside the ICE facility. It's been going on for some time. You're about 25 minutes due west of Chicago. Our reporter, Mike Tobin, is there all day, and we'll check in with him as these events unfold there.
So it seems like nothing has changed outside these ICE detention facilities. People are still waking up in the morning and dedicating their lives to protesting the constitutional work that ICE is doing, which has been passed by Congress, by the way. But I guess that's a whole nother issue. At any rate, the real story here is a ruling that just came down from the judge, who claims that there are different requirements now that ICE must follow if they plan to deploy tear gas. Listen to this.
A judge in the Windy City making it harder for ICE officers to use tear gas. That ruling prompting a strong rebuke from DHS. Mike Tobin, if it's Friday, he's in Broadview, Illinois, west of Chicago. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Bill. The Friday demo seems to get a little smaller every week. Right now, you've got about as many police officers as you do protesters. And this comes just a day after U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis essentially extended that temporary restraining order and added one element that federal agents are required to wear body cameras while on the job in Chicagoland. Agents are restricted from using munitions like gas and pepper balls unless threatened, and they're required to give 2 warnings before deploying crowd control weapons. The new injunction lasts until Judge Ellis rules on the suit brought by the journalist group, the Chicago Headline Club, seeking to ban riot control weapons altogether.
All right. Now, there are 2 things. One, the Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bovino, they are alleging that he lied under oath about him deploying tear gas. We will get to that here shortly. Secondly, the Chicago mayor, he doesn't have any answers himself either. Matter of fact, he currently is at the UN talking about dignity when he should be focused on his approval rating. Let me show you this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different polls for his approval rating. All of them are underwater. The highest approval rating he has is at 39%, the lowest 15%. So this is a mayor where he is not really popular with the people of Chicago, okay? Because he's done nothing for them. In fact, he's done more for illegal aliens than he has for the people of Chicago. Now, what also happened in Chicago today is 14 women were arrested outside of the Broadview ICE detention facility for clearly obstructing traffic. Take a look at this.
These are moms from across the western suburbs, they say, and they're demanding an end to the campaign of chaos. That's how they describe DHS's Operation Midway Blitz immigration enforcement.
It is worse than you can imagine on the streets right now, and it is because of the federal immigration enforcement that we're seeing every day. And our communities are living in abject fear, and it's time for people that look like us to take a stand and put our own physical bodies in front of those bodies, because it is unacceptable.
Well, I find it unacceptable that they believe the best course of action is to prevent people from doing their job. You may disagree with everything that ICE is doing. That doesn't mean you have the authority to obstruct justice. That is a crime. And that doesn't work. It only makes things worse. Now, what they should be doing is going to their local leaders in those communities and protesting and saying, hey, listen, you need to hand over these criminals to these ICE detention facilities. You need to hand over these criminals to the ICE agents. You need to make it in a way where ICE doesn't feel the need that they have to go into these neighborhoods. And then you need to tell these illegal aliens, if they get pulled over by ICE, just comply, don't run. Now, speaking of going into the neighborhoods, Greg Bovino obviously had to report in court because he deployed tear gas. Now what they're reporting is he lied about what took place because, again, they're seeking to undermine everything that ICE is doing. Take a listen to this.
So, Fallon, if he lied to the judge and other government officials were lying, according to the judge, do they face any consequences for that?
Yeah, I mean, this is another conversation that we had before. So like I said, he's been violating these orders allegedly, and we've seen the video evidence of it in the witness testimony. And so she called him a couple of weeks ago to actually testify in her court about what had happened. She gave a strict warning. She said, "You're not following my order." And then you'll remember she ordered him to come before her in court every single day at 5 p.m. Now the Seventh Circuit said that she actually can't do that. That was an infringement on separation of powers. So usually if she finds that somebody's defying her order, she could hold him in contempt, she could fine him, she could do all these things, but it's a little bit tricky because she has very limited power to actually execute that contempt order. That it all falls under the executive branch. So we're kind of in uncharted territory here where it's a little bit unclear what she can actually do.
I mean, clearly there's so much going on in our country, and that's why I have to deliver this urgent reminder. The Medicare enrollment period is ending soon. This means you have until December 7th to pick a plan for 2026. It's no secret that Medicare enrollment process is confusing, and I think it's on purpose because brokers are looking to make more money, which means you could potentially be on the wrong plan. Question, wouldn't it make sense to speak to a trusted advisor today? That's why I recommend you call Chapter. They're the only advisors that will compare every nationwide plan to make sure that you choose the right one. And they are results driven. They save people $1,100 a year. If you look in the comments section, you'll see that people are already thanking me for directing them to Chapter. They will help you. And the best part is their service is completely free and it only takes 20 minutes. And by the way, if you're already on a Medicare plan, they can look at it and make sure that it's good. And if it's not, they'll help you switch. So don't gamble with your Medicare coverage today. Call Chapter at 323-431-5200. Understand it's peak season, so you're going to want to call them first thing in the morning. That number again is 323-431-5200. Speak to a trusted advisor today. Well, I can tell you guys what should be done, especially by the city of Chicago and all these other jurisdictions where ICE detention facilities are located and they're having these types of problems. Number one, the local police department needs to come in and enforce the rule of law. Protesters cannot be outside the building, blocking vehicles, touching ICE officers, all of this stuff. If an ICE officer is apprehending someone in a neighborhood, you should not approach them. Stay out of their way. Because when you do, you are basically putting the ICE officer in a position where they feel like their life is threatened, and then they're going to deploy tear gas. So I find it interesting that they can find a judge that's ruling in this way to say that ICE is wrong for what they're doing, but they have nothing to say for the fact that the local police department is not enforcing law and order. They are allowing chaos to erupt. And to give you guys a great example, what they tend to do is lie about what actually took place when people are being arrested by ICE. Think of this whole situation regarding the daycare worker, okay? Listen to what the Chicago mayor just had to say about that story. Take a look.
ICE agents entered a daycare. They went inside of a preschool. They tore a teacher out of a classroom in front of their children. That video shocked the conscience of every single Chicagoan across our beloved city. This is not who we are. We most certainly cannot have this in our city or our country. My heart certainly goes out to the 47th Ward who were deeply appalled and shocked by this kind of incident.
Why don't we do a little research on this incident already? Me and you already know the truth, but listen. Why don't we take the truth from someone who was there dropping off their child? Listen to the testimony that they gave. Last name of this individual is, his name is Matt Champion, okay? Anyway, Champion said that a black car stopped and a teacher got out and ran into the school through two sets of doors. Let's just stop right there. So you saw someone get out of their vehicle and they ran into the school. So when DHS says they attempted to pull this person over and they ran from the scene, that sounds a little accurate to me. He said an ICE agent grabbed the security door as it was shutting, held it open as the other agents entered the school. He then saw two agents grabbing the woman's arm, dragging her outside, where she was ultimately handcuffed and put into a SUV.
Mayor Brandon Johnson invited the United Nations Human Rights Council to come to Chicago to see firsthand how federal immigration enforcement and snap cuts have led to a crisis. He told them while Chicago is fighting back, their city needs help.
In Chicago, we stand united to defend our shared dignity, our safety, and our freedom. We cannot do this work alone, though. And that is why I call on this council to hold the federal government of the United States to the same standards of accountability you apply elsewhere in the world. No country should be above international law. Human rights are universal, or they are meaningless.
Johnson listed examples of what he believes are human rights violations at the hands of federal agents. The Trump administration did not submit a required universal periodic review report to the council.
Okay, you heard the same thing I heard, right? Mayor Brandon Johnson is begging the United Nations to do something about the problems that he has caused in his own city. Are you kidding me? He's the one that made Chicago a sanctuary city. He leaned in on that. Now he's crying about money. This guy is a complete joke. All right, let me tell you what else is a complete joke. This government shutdown, and we're talking about air travel. So we have more updated news because things continue to change, including the increased amount of delays, flight cancellations, and the level of safety that they're trying to guarantee to the American people. Let's start with this first.
The controllers have said most of the controllers can navigate missing one paycheck. Virtually none of them can navigate missing two paychecks. That second paycheck comes this Tuesday. And so if this shutdown doesn't end relatively soon, the consequence of that is going to be more controllers don't come to work. And then we're going to have to continue to assess the pressure in the airspace and make decisions that may, again, move us from 10% to 15%. Maybe to 20. I don't want to see that. Or, by the way, if controllers start coming to work and the pressure goes down, we can move those numbers in the other direction. Again, this is a moment-by-moment assessment. Again, doing all we can to make sure travelers are safe as they move through the airspace.
All right. So number one, as I was talking about earlier in regards to the government shutdown, I mean, if you miss one paycheck and you're good with financial literacy, there's a definitely good chance you have a rainy day fund. And usually that's about a month or two. Okay. You missed two paychecks. Now you got some issues. All right. And we're about to find out how bad that's going to be for these people, because today is just 5% reduction for air travel. By next week, it's going to be 10%. And that affects the economy, because that means more people will refuse to fly because they don't want to wait. Okay, so there's that. So think of traffic on the roads. But number two, these people are definitely going to call out sick. They're not going to show up to work like that. Now, let's hear from some people that have been at these airports already waiting for their flights. Take a listen.
This is very tacky, but I hope some of those senators and congressmen get stuck because they can't get somewhere. So they'll get there and figure this out and get it going again.
There is a shutdown, so you never know. So, and we are coming from Singapore. Imagine we are trapped here in America.
So we're going to just rent a car and drive.
So, we end up getting a hotel.
Drive from where?
From here to Wilmington, North Carolina. People are really hurting out here. And it's not just the traveling public, but it's affecting the whole economy. And you people are to blame.
Philip Simmons has worked for TSA for 23 years. This is his second government shutdown, but his first without pay.
It's not a good feeling. And sometimes you wonder, okay, if you're going to impact somebody, why are they impacting us?
Yeah, see, the thing about life is the first day of the government shutdown, you have a certain point of view. The 38th day of a government shutdown, that point of view has dramatically changed for a lot of people out there, especially if you work for the government or you're traveling or it's an inconvenience for you right now. You have a different point of view. You don't care whose fault it is. Get the government back open, of course.
All across the country, when people walk in on this Friday afternoon hoping to go somewhere this weekend, those dreams might be dashed. This message is from travelers to lawmakers. Watch.
If I could vote every single legislator out on both parties and start with some people that are boringly neutral, I would do it.
I'm incredibly concerned. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't really feel like I had to. I don't feel safe flying at all.
Now, here's the COO of American Airlines and his message on ABC this morning. Take a look.
Let me be clear. We need to get the government reopened. We need to get this aviation system back. And I implore our members of Congress to get together and get the government reopened so we can get back to normalcy. Aviation is super critical to this nation. It's super critical to our traveling public.
And that's why I said the Democrats are basically in sabotage mode. Because the more you continue to hear these stories, the more you continue to hear organizations speak out, the more you start scratching your head and saying, okay, listen, this was a noble fight, Democrats. We get it now. We got the message. Now, let's do the right thing for the American people and open the government. Because I guess the question is, at what cost do they want to leverage this fight regarding healthcare subsidies? For example, would they be willing to keep the government shut down till the end of the year? Would they be willing to do that? All because they want to fight about healthcare subsidies? I think that's a good question to ask. Now, here's the president of the Air Traffic Control Association. Take a look.
They're already at work right now with $0. What we're seeing is the fact, can they get to work? So I think the term of art of calling in sick is probably being a bit misconstrued throughout this process. So people aren't calling in sick. They're either fit for duty or they're not. But what they're having issues with is getting to work. They're saying, especially our new employees that are just training or starting out in this career, they've moved hundreds, if not thousands of miles in the highest cost of living area there is, trying to start out their life and saying, they're calling their employer and saying, I have no gas today. I cannot pay for my childcare. Can I bring my children to work? These are real situations. We cannot just continue to sit out there. They're already racking up their credit cards. They're taking out every loan that they can. And to somehow think that this system's going to run perfect 37 days later, that people aren't going to have real problems when they're expecting pay. We're not out here begging for more. We're out here saying, give us what we deserve. And that is completely un-American to keep these people's wages from them every single day.
And that's why I said I'm part of the solution camp, which would be to pass the law that would prevent a government shutdown from happening to begin with. And what would that look like? Well, the law would say that a government shutdown is not allowed, that if you cannot come to an agreement about increasing the budget or reducing the budget or removing certain things from the budget or adding certain things to the budget, that the existing budget stays intact and the money keeps rolling. That's better than what they're doing right now, in my opinion, because right now they have the ability to weaponize the government shutdown. And who's to say that the Republicans won't play the same game in the future? Because that is a risk as well. Well, I don't think Chuck Schumer got that message, because here is his latest proposal to Republicans. Take a listen.
Therefore, we'd like to offer a simple proposal that would reopen the government and extend the ACA premium tax credits simultaneously, and then have the opportunity to start negotiating longer-term solutions to health care costs. Let's do all three. I've spoken with my caucus, and Democrats are offering a very simple compromise. Democrats are ready to clear the way to quickly pass a government funding bill that includes health care affordability. Leader Thune just needs to add a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits to the CR so that we can immediately address rising health care costs. That's not a negotiation. It's an extension of current law, something we do all the time around here, as we all know.
He wants the ACA subsidies to be signed right now. That's ridiculous. Just leveraging that over the government shutdown is ridiculous. We just went over air traffic and what that situation looks like, including the air traffic controllers and consumers and the economy. I mean, again, this violates all principles. This is not why people get elected to Congress, to move in this way, to operate in this way. This is not in the best interest of the American people. And I said it on the live show. If they believe that the Republicans don't care about healthcare in the way that they say they do, call their bluff. Open up the government, do the debate regarding healthcare subsidies. If it expires, it's not going to really hurt Democrats. It'll hurt Republicans. And that means Democrats will win the midterms. So it's just interesting, his thinking.
Is there any room for bipartisanship? Because it seems like that's the main purpose of the filibuster, is to create some sort of compromise. So
well, it didn't work, obviously.
So
you're right. That was the purpose of the filibuster, bipartisanship, but that didn't work.
So are you saying the next 3 years in Washington there shouldn't be?
Well, no. If the filibuster is terminated, we will have the most productive 3 years in the history of our country. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done.
This is a great example of a conundrum, because ultimately it's a risk either way. They don't get rid of the filibuster. This government shutdown drags on to the end of the year. They get rid of the filibuster. They pass all these pieces of legislation. Doesn't guarantee they win the midterms. They lose the midterms. And now the Democrats have access to the filibuster. Now, I still have not found any information that rebukes the idea that why not remove the filibuster temporarily and then put it back. Now, same principle applies. They could do that. And then if Democrats win the midterms, they could do that, right? So, this is the problem with Congress, okay? It ends up being a stalemate at a certain extent. Now, the president continued to say this about Chuck Schumer. Take a look.
We have a shutdown, as you probably know, because the Democrats have gone, they're crazy. They're crazy, but they don't care if they hurt the country. But we've approved it 14 times. We've approved a opening up 14 times, and they keep rejecting it. And I guess maybe they will again. Let's see what happens. They want to have a lot of bad things happen, bad things for our country. We're not going to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into our country illegally. We're not going to do it. To people came from prisons. They came from mental institutions. They're drug dealers. They want to give them medical care.
Well, we know 77 million people reject that type of thinking and that type of governing from the Democrat Party. And as you guys seen, Chuck Schumer presented his proposal. He wants these ACA subsidies to be passed before opening the government. And we know that violates all principles as far as I'm concerned. And I think at the end, they're still continuing to hurt innocent American people. And why are they so hell-bent on this? And why are they operating in this way? Because they don't have a leader, according to their constituents. Take a look at this poll.
Day 38 of the government shutdown, and for now, Democrats keep on voting to keep it that way. Meanwhile, the newest political poll finds that Democrats have no clear leader and no clear direction for the future. Let's bring in Jonathan Cott and Matt Gorman to talk more about this. So Democrats, Jonathan, can win, as they proved on Tuesday, elections in blue states. But on the broader basis, it's like got to have somebody to rally around. Here's what the Politico poll found about who is leading the Democratic Party. The top contender is some fella named, or woman named Don't Know, at 21%. Kamala Harris is second at 16.1. Nobody, 10.5%. Chuck Schumer, 7.7. Hakeem Jeffries, 7.4. Not particularly surprising that after a presidential loss, you wouldn't have a clear leader of the party. But then you also have no one to rally around and try to capitalize on these wins on Tuesday.
So 21% of Democrat voters, they don't know who is the leader of the Democrat Party. Remember, we just showed you the other day, Bernie Sanders says Zohran Mamdani is the new leader of the Democrat Party, but he's only the mayor of New York City. So how is that possible? Okay. You got other people saying that AOC is starting to have much more political power than Chuck Schumer. How is that possible when he's the Senate minority leader? And then you have Nancy Pelosi throwing in the towel, calling it quits. I mean, this party is in shambles. And again, that's why I think they're moving in such a chaotic way. I mean, this is not to govern the United States of America. That's just the way that I see it.
What is your response to Chuck Schumer's proposal here to keep those ACA benefits going for another year, bipartisan committee to work on those, and reopen the government with a clean CR?
God, please give me patience, because if you give me strength, I'm going to need bail money. What Senator Schumer is suggesting is that we do the dumbest thing possible that won't work. Stupid should hurt more. Senator Schumer says we should just extend the status quo for a year. What does that mean? That means that we would have to take $35 billion of taxpayer money and give it directly to the health insurance companies without any commitment of lowering premiums. How is that going to reduce health care costs? How's that going to reduce premiums? The health care companies are going to take $35 billion from the taxpayers and put it into their pockets. I mean, duh.
Mm-hmm. And just really quickly here, remember, it's Democrats who pushed Obamacare. It's Democrats who implemented the Affordable Care Act subsidies. It's Democrats who continue to pad the pockets of these insurance companies, if you think about it. So if I'm Senator John Kennedy, there's no way I'm voting for that. That's ridiculous. But he continues.
I don't know what Senator Schumer is thinking. Earth to Chuck. I mean, earth to Chuck. Am I going to vote for this? The short answer is no. The long answer is hell no. I think we're just going to have to get used to the fact that we've been in a shutdown. We're going to be in a shutdown for a while. I voted 14 times to lift the shutdown. The Democrats and Senator Rand Paul have voted 14 times to keep the government shut down. We're just going to be here for a while.
And that's the bottom line to this story. We are going to be in this position for a while. And hopefully Democrat voters wake up, because these are the games and the tactics that Democrats are using. And so you guys have been protesting about how Donald Trump is a king. He's destroying the economy. Listen, there is nothing more damaging than a government shutting down and people don't have access to these services, including federal employees, and not just for 1 month, but this could go on for 2 months. Then what? Yeah, so it's an interesting point to share there. Okay, let's get your guys' reaction in the comment section below, starting with the 14 suburban women who got arrested at the ICE detention facility for obstructing traffic. I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I showed you the approval ratings of the Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson as he pleads to the United Nations that there's a crisis in Chicago. And of course, he blames the president. This guy's a complete joke. Let me know what you guys think about that. And then what do you think of this government shutdown, particularly air travel? Things are going to continue to slow down. More delays will occur. And then finally, what do you make of Chuck Schumer's proposal to Republicans? Just give me all your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. Now, we're not done with Democrats, because we talked about it on our live show earlier today, how in so many interviews over the past 24 hours, they are pretty much admitting what they're planning to do. Okay. If you guys missed out on that update and more from earlier today, all you have to do is click on that video, because it's coming up right now.